Day 6, bass. It's all about the bass. You know about the summary, you know about the classroom, but today we're focusing on bass. I think you're going to like this. This is so cool. In the lab, a little bit of a twist. One of the bass lines you're going to learn about, there's a number of different techniques. There's a chromatic scale, and it's a little more challenging to do that in hook pads. So here's a tutorial on how to do that. And I want you to play around with that. And then this one talks about MIDI files, importing, exporting, and so on. And we've already covered this a little bit, but I want you to take a look at this because you could find a bass line if you search like MIDI bass line, like or one of your favorite songs, MIDI files. You can find those files out on the internet, and you can download those and put those into Soundtrap, put them into Hook Theory, Hook Lab, and you can play around with things. So I just want you to be familiar with that because that's like almost the currency of note events that you can import and export those out and move them around. The idea is that you can work with any particular tool you want to compose a layout, look at the note structure, see how the patterns work, the timing, etc., just like we did with Funklet. And I want you to play around with that and feel free to move those files around. Again, composing in software that you feel most comfortable in. Then what I want you to try to do is try making a bass line to something that you've already done, and just go in, create something in Hook Tab, Hook Lab, and just put a bass line in. And again, maybe go back and watch some of the earlier tutorials about how to get a bass track in there, and just have some fun with that. Practice room. Okay, we are playing guitar, but how do you play bass on guitar? Well, there's the bigger, fatter notes, which are on the bigger strings, the top strings 4, 5, and 6, and so on. And there's ways to put a bass line together. And a lot of really classic riffs actually start with the lower notes on the neck. And the lowest notes are in those first 3 frets that we've been practicing. So you get some lower stuff up there. This gentleman is going to take you through and show you how to play a bass note at the top of the guitar along with the chord. Now, if you don't know these chords, that's okay. What it did is that watch the video. I think you're going to like it. And what I want you to think about is, you can look at the tabs here. Just see the technique. And again, this is something I want to throw at you so you can think about it. And again, you're practicing your guitar song that you've been working on. This is just another technique to put into your process that you can play around with. All right, I have 2 profiles in excellence. This woman is amazing. She has played on so many hit songs and basically made up the bass lines. She's a professional musician that was hired to just, a session musician to add bass lines to compositions. You need to check it out. Watch the interview, about 5 minutes with Carol Kay. Amazing. And then the best bass guitarist ever, according to a lot of different people, James Jamerson. And he has played on a pile of hit songs as well. And so I put a number of resources here. You really need to check it out. And this visual, for Once in My Life, great song. You can see the bass notes that he plays. He dances all over the place, but doesn't step on the toes of the other musical elements that are going on. It's pretty phenomenal. So check those out. That's a bonus stuff, but a bonus thing, because when you go outside, what I was thinking is take a look at some of those material from these 2 incredible bass players, and then walk around and think about them and think about what they brought to what they do and how they do what they do and so on. And then I have Quizlet over here with bass terms. And this is just, there's only 8 of them, but it's the idea of different types of bass lines and bass technique. And if you don't know the names, you don't know the process or whatever, it's fine. It's just a matter of kind of putting it back into your consciousness of like the different bass lines, like after you watch the video from Howard Goodall today. So you'll see that. And then in the studio, this is how to play Smoke on the Water. So this is your number 6 string. You got the open string, then the 3rd fret, then the 5th fret, open string, 3rd, 6th, 5th, open 3rd, 5th, and then 3rd, open. And Smoke on the Water is one of those things that probably the first thing I've ever played on guitar. It's just on the top string, but that top string can be a source for really, really good bass lines. And you just need like 3 notes. So look at the tonic and the dominant. That 3rd fret top string, that's a G. The second string right below, the string right below it, the fifth string, third fret, that's a C. Well, C and G, if you remember when we do this, that is tonic dominant in the key of C. So, right there, you could go back and forth between those two strings and create a bass line, or just work on the top line and play around. So I want you to create something and something fun and funky. Then in the control room, I want you to record it. And again, you could create a bass line and just record this onto a track, have some fun with it. If you have something else you want to add to it, that's fine. Or if you have something you're going to put a bass line to, that's cool too. But I think starting that would be really cool. You know about what I learned, problems I solved. I updated this a little bit because some people aren't highlighting problems that they solved. I want you to remember this. People don't care what you made in the course. They want to know what you figured out, how you problem solved, how you took responsibility for yourself and figured stuff out. And not to put too much pressure on you, but even if you can't figure something out, what did you try first before you sought help from somebody else? Try a few things yourself. It's three and then me is usually how I've heard a teacher say it. Try three different strategies to problem solve first, and then ask the teacher or ask somebody else or whatnot. And this is new. Activity evaluation. And this is actually part of our leadership, so you're going to get points for this. People of integrity give feedback to the system that are part of so that the system can get better. Part of the reason I do the slideshow every morning is to show you how I'm trying to improve the course based on what I'm seeing you succeed with or not succeed with, but also your feedback. So I'm trying to model how to improve a system. Quality comes from a system. You and your process of daily work is a system. Your system is good, but it could be better. How do you evaluate your own system? Well, I'm looking right here at our system as a model. So we have the content each day. So today's activities, what did you think of the content? Rating of 1 is, it's okay. 5 being, wow, I was highly engaged by the content, meaning you really liked it. It was interesting. And then I want something specific. So write your number here, and then just give me something specific about what interested you most about the material. And then process. This is how we're running a class. Again, rate this activity on how it was brought about, the different activities I wanted you to do, and so on and so forth. And so but then how were they engaging to you and why? And always feel free to put a constructive criticism in here. I mean, those are worth gold. Everybody can be a hater. It's easy to tear down, but it is much more challenging to build. So when I ever have criticism of something, I always think, okay, I don't like something about whatever. I have to think about something I would do to make it better before I'll say the negative. So negative would be, I didn't really like this, blah, 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 blah. Then I'll say, here's what I would recommend. Doesn't have to work necessarily, but it's a step in the right direction. The world would be a much better place if people thought that way. All right, that's your overview for the day.